remember I told my family Thanksgiving. I ruined Thanksgiving. I told my dad and my siblings and my stepmom that I was going to be a chef, and it coming out went really well, but coming out as a chef went horribly. Which
This is so funny.
Yeah,
you're like, I'm gay. You're like, really whatever. Confident. Like, I'm a chef. Like, fuck you. Like, you're not doing that. Don't embarrass the family.
I went in really confident because they took it so well when I came out, but I was not.
Like, what are you doing? Like, you have a master. You'd be a chef. It's a horrible job.
They're like, finish your master's program. I'm like, I already dropped out.
Sorry.
It's over.
It's over, Johnny.
It's over.
All right, this is season 2 of I'll Call My Guy. I'm here with Ashley Flagg, who is the executive chef at Millwright. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You are welcome. Ashley, you are the executive chef at one of the best restaurants in the state of Connecticut, certainly in the area. And so I wanted to have you in to talk about food, talk about your life, talk about what inspires you, talk about, again, a theme throughout. I know you said you listened to some of the podcasts here, is relationships. And I'm particularly interested I have people that do law in here, but also people that do food, because food's a passion of mine as well, as you know, is to talk about the relationship, not necessarily the relationship between you and your significant other, the relationship that you are forging with customers, right, through food, right? That's a relationship.
For sure.
And it's a relationship where the person may not ever see you, but and it's you're presenting them with your product, the fruit of your labor, your imagination, your technique, and you're developing that relationship where the people want to hopefully come back and enjoy that, and of course the relationship, as you know, a lot of the famous chefs talk about the being in the happy business. You're making people happy and giving them a reprieve from the world, and all of those things. So I wanted to talk about your sort of thoughts on that and how you do that, and but also about your life and how you got to where you did and achieve this level of success. So welcome.
Yeah, great. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. So are you a lifelong Connecticut person?
I am. I'm born and raised.
Where did you grow up?
Middletown, Connecticut.
Oh, you're in Middletown.
Yeah,
okay.
Middletown,
all right. Are you a Mercy person or?
I almost was.
Oh, almost.
Almost, very close. My grandmother wanted me to go to Mercy very badly because her house is literally 30 seconds down the road from it. But I ended up going to Connard for my first year of high school, and then my parents moved to Burlington, Connecticut, so I finished at
So
Mills.
Connard, how old are you?
I'm going to be 39 this month.
Okay, so you're a little younger than my wife. My wife's Connard.
Yeah.
But she's a few years older than you. So you're West Hartford for 1 year?
Yep.
Then Burlington?
Then Burlington, yep.
Okay, and then Burlington, did you finish high school in Burlington?
I did, yes.
Okay,
yeah.
so when Middletown's what now?
Middletown was my so I went.
Oh, I see. Your middle school and.
I grew up right near Mercy, mostly at my grandmother's house.
That's what I missed. Okay, so. I see. So that was elementary school, 1 year of high school in West Hartford, then to Burlington.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. Did you were you in an intact family? Were your parents together?
No. Divorced since I was 5 or 6, and then both my parents remarried the same year when I was like about 7.
But always both parents in your life.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Right. And somewhat functional folks.
Somewhat is a good way to describe.
No, like they could go to events together. Like I'm always interested in this. Like.
No, they aren't best friends,
right?
So, but yes, and more so over the years. But yeah, they're for us have always shown up despite.
Oh, good. All right. So you don't have like a hugely negative view of the divorce, like.
No, I wouldn't say so.
Oh, good.
I wouldn't describe it as an amicable divorce.
No, right.
But
right, but you saw both parents. They're both involved in your lives. Yeah. How about your step-parents? Good. Like, did you have good relationships?
Awesome. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
All right. And you have siblings?
Yes, I have 5 brothers and sisters.
Wow.
Some like step, half, and full, right? So a good mix. But our parents have been married since we were 7.
And how many biological?
I have 2 biological brothers.
So there were 3 of you.
Yes.
And then two more from the other marriages.
3 more.
Oh, 3 more. So total of 6. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So and then you finish high school. So did you? Obviously you're a chef now. Have you always had an interest in food?
I actually went to college to be a social worker. Actually, I went to college to be an accountant.
Where? Where'd you go?
ECSU.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I did a switch to my major to social work. And then I was a social worker for a short period of time outside of college. I actually worked at a group home in Madison, Connecticut, where I was working with young adults who were college age, and part of my job was to kind of teach them how to cook. So I kind of fell in love with cooking
Oh,
in that
interesting.
way.
So the social work took you to cooking.
Yeah, yeah. My family is like a huge, like my family is like all around like good cooks. Like
Really?
yeah,
Just
yeah, hard to find a bad cook in my family,
really?
honestly. And like competitively so.
And is that just something, a tradition that just got picked up in the family, or is somebody a professional chef? Or?
No professional chefs. My grandmother's from Basque Country in northern Spain. And she's a phenomenal cook. My mom is a phenomenal cook.
What's your mom's background?
She's French Canadian.
Okay.
She's from New Hampshire.
Okay.
So that's a fun bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then how about that?
And my dad is from Connecticut, born and raised.
And just was a home chef and
yeah,
was an
great
interest
cook.
in it?
Also, he's more of like the griller,
Right.
always grilling an extra rare piece of steak.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we do the super Basque thing with always having pepper stew with everything, every meal. So yeah.
That's interesting. So now, how about, did you, as a family, either intact or blended, did you guys go out to dinner a lot? Was that a thing?
Not a ton, honestly. Like if we went out, like with my mom, for example, if we went out, it'd be like to celebrate like a birthday or like, maybe a promotion or something.
Right.
But honestly, no, not a ton. We'd get pizza. Like at my dad's house, we always got pizza, Chinese food, stuff like that. But
just regular, nothing out of the ordinary.
Homebodies, honestly.
Really?
The entire family, a bunch of homebodies.
And did you so in that sense, did you have exposure to fine dining until later in life, right? Would you say that, was it later in your life that you had exposure to that?
I would say so, yeah. Once I started cooking and just kind of exploring different, I grew up with eating multiple types of cuisine. So once I started to learn how to cook, I wanted to just continuously learn like new techniques, new skills. And the best way to kind of do that is kind of basically learn what everybody's grandma was cooking for them when they were a kid, right? You learn all the good tricks from grandma, right?
That's true.
So everybody's got, when people have grandmas from all these different places, best bet is to go straight to grandma from every culture, and then you're going to learn the best techniques.
That is a good idea, right? It's always the grandmother, and they always have some technique that's just, people spend decades trying to hone it.
They don't waste time.
Right.
So they're not doing all these silly things that, all these little, so they've got all the good tricks. So just
right. Oh, and they also too, like I find too, the grandmas always would look for the best quality ingredients. Yeah. Right. Which is something that's overlooked, as you know, in a lot of places in the US. Like, you go to Italy ever been to Italy?
No, not yet.
So you got to go as a chef. It'll blow your mind.
I know. And Kevin from Small State just came back, and he's like, "Yeah,
it'll change your life." Because the way every chef I know that's been there is like, because they'll sit you down with like a 4-ingredient dish that'll rock your fucking world, and you're like, oh my god, like what? Yeah, like what? Yeah, like because they just take the best ingredients. Simple preparation, which is how it should be. Yep. And you taste it, you're like, how does this have so much flavor? Yeah. How?
It's just using the right things, right? That's the best way.
It's the right things.
And not messing with it too much.
And not messing with it, right? Yeah. It's so good. Like I've been exploring cooking a little bit with my son on the weekends, on Sundays.
Yeah, Sarah asked me to. Chef there.
Oh yeah, we expose him to everything, and he he goes for, the problem is I've created this monster, right? So like he he wants sushi all the time. And so, but then like we go for sushi, he's like, the sushi's mid. So then he wants the omakase. So I have to take him to this place in New Haven. It's $125 a person.
This is your fault, though.
My fault, right? No, but I have a bud now that can go this, right? And he's sitting there, and the lady, we knock on the door at the place we go to is, what the hell's the name of it? It's right underneath the Temple Street garage there in New Haven. It's, I'll have to think of the name, but anyhow, Otaru.
Oh yeah.
And it's like super high end, like, and the lady like answers the door, very formal Japanese. She's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, we don't serve hot food here, for him." And I'm like, "He doesn't eat hot food." Like, she's like, "He'll eat everything. He'll eat everything." And so we sit down at the bar there, at the sushi bar. They're bringing out like, sea urchin roe and everything. He's like, "This is the best ever," and he wants all that stuff. So it's great. So he's had exposure to those types of things. But we've made what we've learned to make, and we're going to stop making Italian because he wants to do other stuff, but we've made our own sauce like the last 3 weekends in a row, and it's so easy. Yeah, you just get the canned peeled tomatoes from Italy, You got to get the San Marzano. They're from Italy.
Yep.
You cook a little onion, little butter, some shallots maybe, and you just let it cook down.
Yeah.
And then you eat it. You're like, this is the best thing I've ever
Yeah,
had.
it's so good.
It's so good. It's just tomatoes and
Yeah.
onion, you know. So it's really the simplicity is great. So all right, so the college, and then you go through the social work. You're teaching the other kids to cook. Did you pick up any of the skills from your parents that you said that were good cooks? Like, did they give any techniques? Or
yeah. So once I started to explore cooking, I started emailing, or my parents would start emailing me recipes and things like that they used to make. So I'd call my mom and I'd be like, Mom, how did you make the mole? I don't remember how to make this. And she sent me the recipe and I started doing that, just trying to replicate what they were doing.
And you're what, your early 20s?
Mm-hmm. Early 20s, yeah, when I started cooking. And then my mom made me this little cookbook for Christmas one year that had all the recipes she could think that I would have liked in it, and she gave me some of her old cookbooks, and I just started picking those.
But you're still not doing this as a living.
No, this was all just being kind of self-taught, and then trying to replicate just trying to replicate stuff that my grandmother used to make. She doesn't give away recipes, so that's just kind of
it's all in her head.
Yeah.
So you're getting more serious about it now. And then, do you remember ever going out, your first exposure to fine dining, what restaurant it was, or?
Yeah, I think the probably Union League in New Haven.
Oh, that's a good restaurant.
Right?
Yeah, French.
I went with my dad's side of the family for dinner one night, and everything was just really not complicated, really incredible French food. And my grandmother's 101, just turned 101. Wow. Yeah. So she kind of learned. She came up in the age of Julia Child, so a lot of what I grew up eating at her house, and we spent a ton of time at my grandmother's house when we were kids, was French cuisine, because she learned how to cook, from Julia Child's cookbooks, really. So
the French. So when you went there, do you remember a dish you had in particular that stood out to you?
There was
This is amazing. I know this is crazy. This is a moment for you.
Yeah, there was a wild mushroom soup that they just sent out with the first course. Really simple and just topped with I think it was a Parmesan foam on top.
Right.
But it was delicious. And there was no garnish on it.
Right.
It was just when it's just mushroom soup and there's foam on top, and just eat it. And I really like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So and at some point do you make? Well, let me back up a second. So as obviously you're married to a woman now. You're a gay woman.
Yep.
Did you when did you come out?
I came out when I was 21.
21.
I was in college. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean,
Did you have a realization then, or did you know for a long time?
Oh, no, I knew when I was 10 years old.
Oh, right,
yeah.
Right, I gotcha. Did when you came out, did your parents be like, yeah, we know?
Yeah, it was annoying, yeah. Yeah, it was super annoying.
Why don't you push me if you knew?
And my mom's like, oh, I thought so. And I was like, thanks.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So, so since 10, but at 21, you but growing up in Connecticut, I mean, I would like to think at least, and tell me if I'm wrong, that at least, that you felt okay about it in Connecticut,
it's kind of so, and my family's very accepting.
Right.
My aunt had been married to at that time marriage wasn't legal, so she had a commitment ceremony with a woman, and
so you were exposed to this
when I was about 10. So, and I knew that my family's accepting. I'd say the reason people just didn't really come out that early when I was that age. There wasn't really people coming out in high school, and Burlington's a smaller town. I would say, I love all my friends that I have in Burlington, and they're all super accepting, but it wasn't necessarily a high school that I wanted to come out in.
Interesting.
Maybe if I had stayed at Conard, I might have felt a little bit differently. But yeah, it wasn't a town that I wanted to come out in. And then I really kind of always just figured I'd come out as soon as I got to college. And then, a kid that I went to high school with was on the same floor of my dorm, and it just kind of shocked me staying in the closet for a little bit longer.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Right. And then, so 21. All right. So let me back up then. So then let's go back to the food situation. So at what point do you make the pivot from, being sort of a I don't know, a recreational chef, if you will,
Right.
to actually being involved in the food business?
Um, so I had started my master's program. So I was studying to social work policy. So essentially to be a grant writer.
And you have a bachelor's at this point from
ECSU. So I was
Okay.
going to UConn
And
for my master's
and
program.
what is your undergrad in?
Bachelor's of Science for social work. Yeah.
Okay.
I was studying to be a grant writer essentially, so social work policy, and then I was doing an internship at True Colors in West Hartford, which is a organization that works with the LGBT community, specifically the youth. And I was supposed to be helping with writing grants, and I found that with my attention span, I was not particularly good at it. So then I just started thinking about, at that point I had tried being a caseworker. I had tried working in group homes. I had tried working with the elderly. And I just wasn't emotionally able to disconnect from the job well enough to not have it impact my personal life. And I think like good social workers have to be able to do that. And like working with kids is super tough. You're seeing a lot of really terrible situations. And a lot of times, limited ability to really help them in an impactful way. So it can be really just traumatizing, and I just wasn't able to separate myself enough from it. So I thought by doing social work policy and doing grant writing, this would be a good way for me to still be involved in the social work community.
Right.
But I'm an adult with very good ADHD, like there's a full set, like it's just really good. Yeah, it's solid. And just sitting down and writing it wasn't going to happen.
You can't
it
do
just
that. You got to
wasn't
be
going to
more creative
happen.
than that with ADHD. Yeah.
So,
I mean, I have as an ADHDer my whole life. Of course, I'm a little older than you, but when I was younger, they didn't know what that was. It was like you're a spaz, or you don't apply yourself, you're lazy, he's smart but doesn't apply himself. And they realize like you have an issue. So I have Jillian, who's my right-hand woman, and she's my frontal lobe.
Yeah.
So she makes all the...
Yeah, that's my sous chef, Scott.
That's right.
Yeah.
Like my
God
frontal lobe.
bless
Like,
him.
right. You need somebody like that. And you realize, and you get old, and I always tell people that have this, once you realize that don't let your ego get involved and say, look, I'm not good at that, but I'm excellent at this.
Yeah.
So just help me with this and everything will be good.
Yeah.
Right. And so, the sooner you can do that in the life, the better you'll be. Because you could be some of the most creative, successful people playing at the highest levels I know have ADHD.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's certainly not, you just got to find a way to work around it. And it's harder as a kid because, your brain's not fully developed.
Right.
And so I can't even imagine. I mean, I know what it was like because I did it, but for the kids that I know, like my littlest one has it, and I can tell she's like,
yeah. But it's good to be a chef with ADHD.
Oh, yes.
So,
yeah. No, I could see that. I could see that. So, all right. So that's not working out for you. How old are you now at that point?
I must have been 24 at that point, 24.
Okay.
Because I think I started culinary school at 25.
Oh, so you go to school, so you have formal training.
I did, yeah. So I started. So
where do you go?
I remember I told my family Thanksgiving. I ruined Thanksgiving. I told my dad and my siblings and my stepmom that I was going to be a chef, and coming out went really well, but coming out as a chef went horribly. Which
this is so funny.
Yeah,
you're like, I'm gay. You're like, really whatever. Confident. Like, I'm a chef. Like, fuck you. Like, you're not doing that. Don't embarrass the family.
I went in really confident because they took it so well when I came out, but I was not.
Like, what are you doing? Like, you have a master. You'd be a chef. That's a horrible job.
They're like, finish your master's program. I'm like, I already dropped out.
Sorry. It's over, Johnny.
It's over.
So you're out, and so they're like, all right. So where do you go to culinary school?
So it was the last year of Connecticut culinary when it first. So
the one down on Farmington Avenue.
Oh yeah, that got bought out by Lincoln.
Yeah.
So it was still all the Connecticut culinary instructors and their culinary program still, but it had technically been bought out by Lincoln at that point. But it was still all CCI.
So
it hadn't transitioned.
And then you did how many years there?
It's a short program. It's less than a year, and then
really?
you do your externship. Yeah.
And where did you go to extern?
I did my externship with Billy at Grants.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I had Billy on here.
Yeah.
Oh, he is the man.
I love him.
Did you enjoy working with him?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know. He just, again, another guy who does such simple foods so deliciously, and but yet it's all very complex.
He's very consistent. That's Billy's superpower, and it's something that I'm definitely trying to be as a chef is as consistent as Billy, and I tell my line cooks all the time is what makes Brico one of the best restaurants in West Hartford Center, and the area in
for
general,
sure.
is that he's so consistent. Like every time I go,
You can never get a bad meal there.
you can eat, and if you get the Milanese 4 times in a row, it's going to taste exactly
the same.
And Oscar and
I know Oscar,
and all and Hector, all of them have been working there for, you said, the prep cooks there for decades. He's had cooks that have been there for decades, dishwashers that have been there forever, front of the house. And, that helps in his consistency, but also Billy's just elbow deep in it all the time.
Well, he's not a guy who's an owner who just comes in like a seagull, shits on everything and leaves. He's there. He's works the line, the pass. He's cooking. He's building sauces.
He needs to go sit down. If he's listening, he needs to go sit the hell down. But
He it's funny. He told me when I asked him at the end, he was one of our first podcast guests, and I asked him who's your guy, like that you'd call your guy, and he said it's Oscar. Like Oscar's his guy. Like,
he's great.
And you're right. I go there all the time. The food is consistently delicious. Yeah. You're right. And I love the Millionaires. It's what I order every time. Yeah. And I don't get anything else because I just love it. And I'm like, I know what it's going to taste like. And I know that yellow sauce, that lemon sauce is going to taste the same every time.
Yeah.
The chop is going to be exactly the right thickness, because you know how it is.
Yep.
Too thick, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Too thin, it falls apart.
Yep.
It's got to be right in the center there. And it's got to have the right crunch or it's too soggy. And it's the same. It's like literally a machine put it out. But it didn't.
Yeah.
So you go there an extern, and do you start working there as like a non-extern, or is it?
Yeah. So I was working in Garmage at Grant's, and this is around the same time.
I remember Grant's, yeah.
Yeah, and then it was the same time that Brico Trattoria had just opened. So then I would also work over at Brico Trattoria in Glastonbury. And then so I started working Garmage, and then saute over at Grant's, and then just learned every station.
So how long are you in the Grant's organization?
I think I was there for 2 years.
Wow, okay.
Between Grant's and Brico Trattoria. John Hudak was the chef when I was there. He ended up running Cafe Mantic and Willow Mantic. He's he's a really
talented. Good chef. And then they just sold that, right?
Couple years ago. I think he's in New Hampshire now. I'm working on a project.
He did some really good food over there.
Oh, yeah.
And now the new place I heard is really good, too.
John's?
Is it John's? I don't know who it is.
The
place
the one that replaced Cafe Mantic.
Yeah, it's the same kind of high-end,
Yes, I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but I have a line cook that used to work there. Great. Yeah.
This makes total sense now that you're a Grant.
That was my real culinary school, honestly.
That's right. I mean,
I had some really great instructors at culinary school, but one of my instructors got me the job with Billy. He's like, you really need to just go do this and see what it's actually about.
Right, because you can't, until you're in the weeds, you can't, the school can't replicate any of that stuff.
No, it's not possible.
And then you're learning techniques. You learn how to build sauces and flavors and saute, but you got to be.
I'd say culinary school more than anything else was a really expensive way for me to get some confidence to walk into a kitchen and get a job.
Interesting.
So maybe I just needed a little bit of therapy instead of paying all that money for.
So you do the Grants for a couple of years,
right?
And then you're what, 28, 29?
Let's see. I must have been, by the time I left Grant's, so I guess maybe I was 26 when I left Grant's. I went to work for Bernard's in Richfield, which is a really nice...
Ridgefield?
Ridgefield,
all the way out near Danbury.
Mm-hmm,
okay.
It's a really nice French restaurant that's owned by a couple, Bernard and Sarah Busseau, and I may have butchered their last name. But Bernard's... and they both worked for Le Cirque in the city. That's how they met. They were competing sous chefs.
Oh, so they have some real chops.
Oh, they have some real chops. So I worked the line, and I also helped with catering. Sarah handled the catering as well as working. So she is a phenomenal chef and way better at cooking.
Are they still there?
Yeah, they changed concepts. So I'm not really up to date on what they're doing from there now, but I think it's more of a carry out place now.
Oh, I see.
I think they're trying to pull back from, Bernard was there all the time.
Oh, yeah, right.
And Sarah was working a million
They're
events.
older. They're probably
their kids are full adults now, which is crazy. I think they're just trying to pull back from that lifestyle.
And how long are you there?
I wasn't there for too long. I was commuting from Burlington to there,
that's a drive.
It was a drive, and I was going through stuff personally at the time, and it just wasn't in the best state of mind to be there and drive that much. So I was there for less than a year. left on good terms, but just, I just really wasn't able to.
Yeah, you can't
Yeah.
sustain that.
I couldn't sustain it. So I ended up working at Republic in Bloomfield,
Oh yeah.
which is where I met my wife.
Interesting. So you meet your wife. Is she a server there?
She was a bartender.
A bartender.
Yeah.
So the Republic in Bloomfield, and that's the what else do they own? Like Mill on the River or something?
So they're part of the Mill on the River group.
Right.
So Mill on the River, I guess, owns them. So Mill on the River owns Abigail's, Market Grill, Republic. They used to have another Republic in Hartford.
That's right, that closed.
Closed. And they own Cal's in Mass.
Oh.
Cal's Pizza or something.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not positive. And something else.
So are you their chef there?
I started out as a line cook there.
Right.
And then when their sous chef left, I became the sous chef. So that was my first managerial position, was there. And then I was a sous chef there for a couple of years. And then I left and took a job I'm not going to say the name of the restaurant. I took a job I shouldn't have taken. And I was just like 7 days a week there, just crazy.
Wait, was this the place in Boston?
No.
Oh.
That place was amazing. So I worked at...
We got to talk about that, because that's one of my favorite places in the world.
Oh, that's... Yeah.
Do you know where she worked? Yeah. Oh, you'll hear in a minute.
Yeah.
It's probably my favorite restaurant in the United States.
Yeah.
And...
Wait.
Yeah, you'll hear in a second.
Wait, was I just there?
You may have been. I'll tell you in a minute. So, all right. So you take a place somewhere. You meet your wife, Rebecca.
Rebecca, yeah.
That's right. So she's there, and then you guys start dating immediately.
No, so we were both dating other people when she started working there. It's funny. I remember, like, when she dropped off her resume, she had like a really funny resume, and she used to do roller derby. So like she mentioned, like, it had like, a little comment section on the bottom.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, her roller derby name. My wife's name is Rebecca, and her roller derby name was Reba McIntyre. And I was like,
"You're like, well, you got a gay one."
Yeah. So they interviewed her, and there's no reason ever for the sous chef to meet in front of the house during the interview. But I found like an excuse to go over to the table, and I was like, I just wanted to honestly check her out.
Right. See what's up.
And then she just kind of gave me a weird look when I went over there, obviously, because it was weird that I went over there, and I was like, oh man, so I just walked away. But then we worked together. And
was she out at the time?
She was dating a gentleman at the time.
Oh, so you're like, I don't know.
So I didn't know.
This is gonna be some work.
So then I was dating somebody else, and she was interested in me, and actually just started telling everybody that she was bi, so that I would ask her out.
Oh, that's awesome! Oh my gosh, what a great story!
Yeah.
And then you just started dating when she just worked there.
We talked for a long time.
Right.
We became friends first.
So none of the U-Haul stuff isn't true for you guys.
No, it was. So,
You know about the U-Haul?
No.
There's an old joke that there is some truth to it. All my lesbian friends tell me there's 100% truth to this. And it's like, what does a lesbian bring on the second date?
Yeah,
a U-Haul truck. Yeah, they move in quickly.
Actually, funny story. I accidentally told my wife that I loved her after our second date.
See, there's something to this.
Yeah, because I was just like, saying bye on the phone.
Oh,
I love you.
I
love you.
I say that to friends sometimes that it, like, maybe we just don't say it. It's just, it's habit.
Yeah, and she just goes, well, all right. And then hung up. That's fine. She still married me, so that's...
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, all right, so you start dating her, and then how does the Boston thing come about?
We were honestly looking... We wanted to, try living outside of the state. I had lived in Connecticut my whole life. And sometimes as a, I guess maybe not everybody, but I kind of felt like if you're not working in a city, have you really done it? So I wanted to try just working in a really high-end, busy restaurant in one of the cities, because I just had always worked with all these guys that worked at John George and, everywhere. And they're like, well, if you haven't done it in the city, you haven't done it.
Right.
Well, turns out it's the same
right
everywhere. But anyway, so we just started looking at different places. We checked out Austin. We checked out a couple different places in Colorado. And we decided Boston was a good bet. I'm very close to my grandmother. She's up there in age, and I didn't want to be on the other side of the country if something happened. So Boston was a good option for me. And I started looking for restaurants that I would honestly want to own myself, if I were to ever open a restaurant. And I know Jamie Bissonette through through Billy.
He's a Canton guy.
Yeah, he's a Connecticut schmuck.
Yeah.
So
So you apply and
I applied,
and you go to Little Donkey.
And I go to Little Donkey. I was there for a year before we moved back to Connecticut, and I loved it.
So you did a year, and what was were you a line chef or?
Oh, line cook. So
line cook.
by that point, I had been a sous chef at Republic. I left for a little bit for a terrible job. Came back to Republic. I was a CDC. Actually, did co-CDC with my friend Eliza Purvis Lamaster, who's now in Boston and working as a chef at Bar Mazzana, I want to say. She's an incredible chef. I wanted to kind of get back to I felt like I had maybe become a sous chef a little bit too quickly and I missed some steps. So I wanted to take a step back and be a line cook and work under a chef like Jamie and kind of get back to the basics and kind of refine some of my skills to just be a better chef. So I did that, and it was really kind of incredible because everybody on the line was basically doing the same thing. There was some, like the couple Garmo kids who were younger and hadn't been chefs previously, but everybody else on the line had been a sous chef, an executive chef, or a CDC before. So it was an absolutely powerhouse line. Yeah, incredible.
Wow, and that place puts out some of the most interesting, like, amazing food from all over the world.
Yeah, which is what I love to do.
Oh,
I don't like to cook one cuisine.
Yeah. No, because you go there and you get anything. You're like, that's a Peruvian dish, that's a Chinese dish, that's a Jewish dish,
and it's all just really good products that you're basically just touching up a bit and putting on a plate.
Wow,
you know what I mean?
I love that place.
So
that to me, good. It's like one of the best. And right, it's certainly one of my favorites. So you do that for a year, and now is your wife a nutmegger as well? Is she from here?
No, she's from Mass.
Mass.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's from
Springfield.
Mass. From Springfield. Okay, and so you go there for a year, and then you decide to come back.
Yeah, so we wanted to own a home. That's not going to happen out there,
Boston,
right? So we moved back home. I actually moved back. When we moved back, we lived. Where do we move back to? Oh, geez, we've lived in so many places together West Hartford. We moved back to West Hartford when we moved, and then we lived there until we found our home in Bloomfield.
Oh, that's right, you're Bloomfield. All right, so you come back, and then where do you go to work when you come back?
I worked at Winvian in Morris.
Oh, I didn't realize you're a Winvian.
Yeah.
What's the chef there?
Chris Eddy.
Is he still the chef?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he's incredible.
It's so fun. What Tyler doesn't? He's your boss Tyler. He's like sometimes like out of it. I said to him one day. I said, "Hey, do you know anybody who has a connection at the Winvian?"
Well, I got you.
Yeah, so and he doesn't even remember that the person who runs like his flagship restaurant has a hookup at the Winvian. No, because I was going to go out there and I was like, oh yeah, and because I want to take my kids to the treehouse.
I know, it's so cool.
The problem is they always want a 2-day reservation.
Yeah,
and I'm just like,
but they run deals sometimes too.
So they want to get rid of it. Yeah, I want to take them there and like have dinner. And the problem is my youngest two are not as the youngest one is spectrumy, so she like has very particular. Like food.
They have chicken tenders.
Yeah, they do that. All right, yeah, I think she'd eat that. My middle one, she'll eat a steak, like a medium rare steak, no problem. Rex will eat anything. Yeah. So the foie gras, whatever they put out. Yeah. But I want to stay in that treehouse. I think they'll dig
so cool.
it. Have you been in it?
I've seen the inside. I haven't stayed in any of them, but I've seen the inside of most of them.
Yeah, so and I had one time. Tyler had a fundraiser, and it was really cool. It was the taste of, I don't know, it was in the Riverview in Simsbury there. Yeah. And it was for charity, and you buy seats and you get assigned a table of a local like chef. It was like a Monday night, like of a chef, like an A-list chef like that here. Yeah. And that chef has your table. So she comes up and says, here's what I'm making for you guys. Only 12 of us. Yeah. And so somebody had Billy Grant, we got Chris Eddy. Yeah. Is Chris Eddy? Yeah. Chris Eddy. He cooked for us. Like he made like a 5-course meal, and every Tyler was at one, Billy was at one. You got it was amazing. And he made us a meal that I still remember how good it was. Like he was
he's so talented.
So technical. Yeah, so talented. So you go to Winvian and you're a sous there?
No, I was, again, I wanted to, so I hadn't really worked at a restaurant that was that level of fine dining. So for me, Little Donkey was perfect in terms of, that's very volume, you're cooking. I learned so much about different cuisines when I was there, different ingredients that I'd never been exposed to, so many different techniques that I learned when I was there, and that I wanted to, I hadn't really been into fine dining at that level. So I looked for a line cook position at a fine dining restaurant, and that was my best option by far, was Winbian. They're a Relais Chateau property.
Oh, yeah.
They're incredible. He had his CDC, also Patrick Espinosa, who's no longer there, was one of the best chefs I ever worked for as well. And they have basically what my grandmother would probably call a gentleman's farm set up over there. So so they're using a ton of produce out of their gardens and, their little mini farm that they have set up. Yeah, they do a lot out of that, which I love.
Oh my gosh, if you can get it, it's nothing better than going in the back and plucking some stuff out. So you're there for how long there?
About a year there.
Okay.
And I was foraging on the side at the same time.
Really?
Yeah.
What are you foraging?
Mushrooms. Yeah, mostly mushrooms.
You know mushrooms.
I know the easy ones. There's people out there that know way more than I do.
Who's the mushroom guy that I know? Matt Wick.
Yeah, I know Matt. Yeah, I know Matt.
Yeah, he's a mushroom guy.
Yeah.
Do you know the mushroom guy, the crazy mushroom guy? That sells. They used to sell to Tyler. The guy's like, with his hands are like something. He got blown up. He was in Africa, and the terrorists got to him or something. You know the story?
I don't think I ever knew the back.
No, Tyler told me like he got blown up or shot at by people.
Well, you can't listen to all of Tyler's stories.
No, but he goes, no. But Tyler told me the guy told him this. Like that's why.
Yeah, but I said what I said.
No, right. But the guy shows up. I remember I'm in the back with Tyler, and he just like drops this hen of the woods like this. Like he's like, here you go. I'm like, how the fuck did he find this thing?
Yeah.
He just like finds stuff.
Once you know. That's easy.
He just knows where to go, right? He just brings it, right? So you learned how to like forage?
Yeah, so I learned how to forage because my family's from, my grandmother's side of the family is from Basque Country, and my aunt would tell this story about when she was young and they would go visit her grandparents. So, my great-grandparents, actually my great-great-grandparents. So my amama's, my grandmother's grandparents, they would go visit them in Basque Country, and they would go forage. So my great-great-grandfather would throw like my aunt on the back of the bike, like the like scooter or whatever, and take her up the mountain and go forage. And I was like, well, I want to do that. That sounds super cool.
That's really exciting.
Yeah.
Man.
So I just started researching.
Around here.
Oh yeah, all over.
And what could you
find?
All
sorts of places I wasn't supposed to be.
What could you find? What kind of mushrooms here, edible mushrooms, can you find
Sure.
here?
So around here, my favorite are ones that are like, hen in the woods,
right,
and chick in the woods are super easy because you want, obviously at that point I was selling to restaurants, so you want volume. So those are easiest. And then ones that are my favorites to find, obviously chanterelles, morels, black trumpets, lobster mushrooms. Those are like my favorite, but hard to find a good volume of them.
You can maybe make a dinner for your family, but that's
right.
it.
But yeah,
but you could get a big hen of the woods out there.
Easy, yeah.
Really,
easy.
and are they in dark places?
So chicken of the woods grow really well on polypore mushroom. Do you guys want? This is going to be really boring to you.
No,
I'm just like really.
I'm a fun guy.
Yeah. Jill, you have to delete that.
I just heard a good expression the other day. I heard some guy who was like, "Your Honor," I'm like, "We're like mushrooms here. We're in the dark." I'm like, that's pretty funny. I'm going to use that.
Yeah. So anyway, yes. So they grow really well, obviously in wooded, dark areas.
Moist areas.
They need the right amount of moisture. So sometimes, you'll hear people say it's a really good hen in the woods year or whatever, and that's because
it was wet year.
Yeah.
And so you'd bring a satchel with you or something, and you'd cut it and load it in and keep going.
Satchels, yep, backpacks, and then I have like little foraging bags, which are basically like grocery bags that have like they're like mesh grocery bags.
And you find like your honey hole, like you find it, and you're like, all right, this is my spot, and you keep coming back because they'll keep growing there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And do they naturally how it fertilizes a mushroom? It's not the bees, right?
No. So there's like a underground system basically. So for example, polypore mushrooms are like a parasitic mushroom, so they will grow off of like dead wood. And then there's like this crazy complicated, and I'm not an intelligent enough person to explain this properly to all your listeners. I just know where to find them and I pick them. But there's basically like relationships between the trees, and they feed off of the dead and composting matter on the bottom.
Because I've seen people, they have logs. You could actually seed like shiitakes on like a bark, right?
Yeah, sure.
Right? That's what they do.
Yeah, you can buy the. It's fun to do with the kids if you haven't done it. You can buy like the little bags that it's basically, like looks like little bag of sawdust, and you soak it in water overnight.
Oh, and then it does the thing.
Yeah, it's really cool.
To me, there's nothing better than the flavor of a mushroom.
Yeah, I love mushrooms.
A lot of people are freaked out by it, but to me, it's I don't know. There's something so like primal about a mushroom.
Yeah,
I love it's like two things that make me feel that way. That and honey.
Yeah,
I can like honey, and I smell it. I don't know, it like triggers something in me. Like, oh my god, like this is such a powerful thing, and it's
you're just eating a product just straight from nature.
Well, like oysters. Oysters are my favorite thing on earth, and like it's another one. It's just a filter that the universe put there. But mushrooms too, like if done, I mean, as you know, you could do mushrooms in so many different ways. But when they're done right, there's just like every time I go to a steakhouse, I always order the mushrooms.
Yeah,
right, because there's so many different ways that they do them. Right, they sometimes do it with butter, sometimes they'll do them with like a little teriyaki.
Yeah,
depends on the place. But and I'm always chasing that sort of that the mushroom that's done right, where you get it's a little rubbery. I wanted a little bit rubbery, but not fully rubbery. You know what I'm saying? Like
you know what we do for our mushrooms at Millwrights right now is I do this. It's actually a mushroom recipe for a cocktail mushroom, so like on a martini, and it's a Basque cocktail mushroom recipe, and we do that for our sides. So it's like super.
Are they cold or hot?
Hot.
I'm not a fan of cold. Well, I used to be. I shouldn't say that. At the Coventry Farmers Market, there's a guy there for many years. I haven't been there in a couple of years. His name is Norm. And he has these marinated mushrooms.
Yeah.
And he has a little shirt that says, "I'm Norm," because everyone says, "Who's Norm?" And they come in like almost like an Italian dressing almost. And they're little button mushrooms. And he marinates them. And I would get them, and I would like, I'm like a pickle person too. I love pickles. I'd put them in like on the way home in my like cup holder, and I'd have a fork, and I'd just be like working them down. Before I get home, I'd eat a whole jar of them. But they're good little button mushrooms and like Italian dressing.
They're so good. I love
they're so good. Yeah. So I'm a big mushroom person. So you're foraging while you're at Winvian.
Yes, for cash.
And you can make some cash doing that.
Made a good amount. Yeah.
Wow.
You
got that good at it.
I mean, I wouldn't say that, but I was doing it, and I was getting up at 4 a.m.
enough to get up at 4 a.m. to do it. Look, if you're making $20, $30,
I'm just stubborn enough to keep doing it, So I was just kept looking until I found good spots. And when you first start out, you just feel like a big dummy, You're just kind of, and foragers aren't going to tell you where their spots are, so you got to find your own spots. Right, because they're going to take
money out of their pocket.
Right. So I was hiking a lot of places I shouldn't have been. And
like what, private property and stuff?
Oh yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah.
But how do you know to go there? Do you like read stuff online, or you just know?
So if I did a lot of research. So if you're looking for morels, for example, a really good spot to look is in old orchards, or places where there have been like a forest fire a few years ago.
Oh.
And so.
So I see. Did you ever get stopped?
Not really that I can remember. Maybe one time I was driving and saw ramps on the back of somebody's property, and they were like, what you doing? And I was like, oh, I'm just going to take your ramps. And they're like, oh, I didn't even know they were there. Have at it. And then another time I was pulling hen of the woods out of somebody's front yard, and they drove in when I was doing it. And I was like, super sorry about this. And he's like, no, it's cool. There's more in the back if you want to go. And I'm like, oh, I'm not following you to the back of your property right now. Yeah. So I'm just going to leave.
Oh my God. You're just like, I'm so sorry. Taking your mushrooms.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So you finish at Winvian, and then where do you head from there?
So I helped Billy close down grants.
Okay.
I kind of went to go back for a couple of weeks and help out. I think they had somebody break an ankle or something like that. Then their chef left, and they were supposed to be closing down after Thanksgiving. But then they ended up staying open, and it just kept getting extended, and I stayed until they ended up closing in April of that year.
Okay.
Which I believe was 2019.
2019. So right before COVID.
So 2018, I guess. Right?
Oh, 2018, right. Okay. And then where? Where do you head then?
So the day after it closed, Tyler called me, and I was like, I need a couple days, chef. I'll call you back. and Tyler was consulting for the Blake Hotel in New Haven.
Oh yeah, oh that's right. I remember you were down there. That's right. Yeah.
So I was the executive chef at the Blake Hotel. The restaurant there was Hamilton Park,
That's
and then
right.
we opened up. They had a rooftop restaurant that had never been opened, so Tyler and I opened up. It was called High George, was the rooftop bar, and that was very popular.
Are they back? Are they back open, that place?
Yes, I think there's a group that took over the restaurant space. I haven't really.
Yeah, I
kept
haven't been down there.
Nobody that I know is still there.
Is still there. So you work. That's when you first started working with Tyler.
Correct.
And have you been with him ever since?
Yes.
So you do the High George, and then does he move you to Millwrights at some point, or do you stop somewhere else?
So I had put in my notice actually at Hamilton Park. They didn't like. Tyler was great. I loved my restaurant staff. Working for hotels sometimes can be a little bit difficult. It's 24/7, and I just wasn't having a good balance, work-life balance. So I was working a lot of 7 days from 6 a.m. till 11 p.m. And it just wasn't maintainable. And then my last day was actually the day that New Haven got shut down for COVID, essentially. And once Yale's shut down, New Haven's shut down. So I had 2 days off, and then Tyler called me, and he's like, "Chef, I'm in a spot at Millwright's. Can you come fill in?" And I've been there ever since.
Wow. And it was just to fill in because you needed a...
I think his chef that was there had gotten sick.
Okay.
Maybe, I don't know if it was COVID or whatever. And then his chef didn't end up coming back after that.
So did you start as like a sous there, or did you start right as a chef de cuisine, or how did you...
So when I started there, we were just doing to-goes. So it was crazy.
That was crazy. That was actually a lot of people don't talk about this, and I brought this up with a couple of the chefs. A lot of the chefs actually did really well during that time because you had a very small staff. You're putting out the same thing, and it's much easier than getting this order, and they just crushed it because people were like, "We're stuck home. We want to eat good food."
Yeah.
You guys were putting out those nice cardboard things with all the stuff.
We were doing so many crazy things.
Crazy things.
Tyler's got so many ideas.
I know, you want to talk about another ADHD?
Yeah.
God.
We're quite the pair. Huh?
Yeah, he's all over the place.
Yeah.
Have you ever? I used to before Tyler had kids when I first met him. These kids in Chicago. But before I had kids, I don't think I was married yet. But I used to travel with him and AJ to go to food. We'd just be like, let's go somewhere.
Yeah.
We're going to New Orleans.
Yeah.
So we went to New Orleans, and that was one of the best trips I've ever taken because he's just knows all these people. So we go down there and they're crushing the shit out of us everywhere we go. We're in a coma every night. It was really good. But he's just like, let's go here. Let's go here. He's like, he makes me look organized. He's just so all over the place. And AJ's got to sort of ground him. No, you can't do that.
Yeah.
So you're doing all that, and then obviously it comes back to somewhat normal at some point. When do you officially get the nod that you're gonna be the chef?
2021, August of 2021. I was promoted to executive chef. Since then I've.
So it's your place now. I mean, Tyler says that. I mean, it's your. Yeah. You build the menu.
Yep. So there's a couple of Millwright staples, the chicken and dumplings that will never come off, like beef tartare. Right. So a couple. Other than that, though, yeah.
And of course, then you have Kristen, who's an entity.
The best.
The
absolute
best. I knew Kristen. I always tell people this. I knew Kristen when Kristen would make me a cake, and I'd meet her near her house and give her cash for a cake.
Yeah, she's so incredible.
Now you can't get that anymore. She's in rarefied air. But I'm like, please make me a cake. She's like, all right. And I'd meet her. I'm like, here's some cash, and she'd make me a cake, and it was the best fucking talented cake ever. She's right. And Tyler used to tell me when because he's been with her a long time. Right. He'd be like, I don't even get involved. She does what she just.
I don't even.
You don't even know.
No, I don't. I'm like, chef, what do you want me to order? I don't. She does her own thing,
and it's all
so nice to not have to worry about it.
No, right.
Too.
But I mean, but she's like, here, taste this.
It's incredible.
Oh, she is.
It's incredible.
We got married in Bermuda, but we had a wedding there with about 30 people. But we had our wedding reception at Millwright.
Right.
We rented the whole place, all 3 floors.
Yeah.
And so we want to do something crazy, and I said, I want stations. But I don't want fine dining food. I want fine dining's take on street food.
Yeah.
So we did a Philly cheesesteak station. I want your take on Philly cheesesteak, or I think we did one on like tomato soup and grilled cheese station.
Yeah.
And she did a dessert station. I'm like, I don't want like fancy cakes, like, because you go to these weddings and the cakes and it looks beautiful and it tastes like shit. I'm like, nobody cares about that. I want something delicious. So she did like this cool ice cream bar with like all kinds of interesting stuff. And
she's so talented.
She's so talented.
And she's just overall just like one of the best people.
Oh, she's always so smiley and happy.
And you know, she's really, and when she's not, you know, like if one of my line cooks takes her off, like they know instantly how bad they've messed up. If you can make Chef Eddie mad.
She's so good.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about her at all. Right, that's just a separate silo.
No, she's an incredible partner, just a very grounding person, like helps run the kitchen team.
She seems to be somebody that I would love to like be in the, like if you're in the weeds, like you want her in your foxhole.
Absolutely.
Right, because she just like puts her head down. And
I
she's
mean,
like,
we were, this past weekend, for example, we were in the weeds incredibly with Mother's Day. We had a line cook that left on Friday, just middle of service.
What?
Yeah, it's a long story, but basically we asked him to not come to work high, and he said no.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Anyway, so, you know, I was just...
But, you know, Kristen could cook savory, too. Do you know that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
She has.
Has she helped you like that with that before?
Yeah, of course. So she was like, you know, during service, she's like, Chef, what can I do? I'm like, I need a kit for the green tahini. I need a kit for this, that, and the other. So, she, you know, her pastry assistant was putting out service, and she was making kits for me, and she saved my life. She has many times.
No, I knew that though, that she could like, you know, she knows how to saute. I'm like, what? Like, she's like, oh yeah, I'm trained and all that stuff. I'm like, wow.
To bully her onto the fish station.
Yeah, you're like, here, saute some fish for me. Wow, that's so awesome. So you, and how often are you changing the menu at all?
A lot, and probably less now. My wife tells me to change it less, so I'm trying to behave myself. But it's this time of year, it gets like really exciting. You know,
you get new stuff.
So we do reprint quite often, but I'm not as spastic with the changes as I used to be. So I'm trying, you know, because people want to come, you know, a lot of people like to come back and have the same thing a number of times. I personally like to go and get different stuff every single time. And then it's tough as a chef too. Once, you know, even if you like a dish, once you've seen it go out 500 times, it's really hard to look at after a while. So or like, you know, prep after a while. You're like, oh, gosh.
Well, did you hear that? He said he listened to the podcast, the guy from Luna Alex, and one of the things he said I thought was very interesting. He says there's nothing regular about a regular.
Yeah.
Like he was trying to say, like, it's not regular to want the same thing all the time. He says those are people that come in, they know exactly what they want, and they're like, and I'm like that to some extent too. Like if I go somewhere and I really like something, I just get it. I'm like, I love it. Like, why am I gonna? But I do like to try other things as well. So and you do a tasting menu there too, right?
We do, yeah.
And that's every night.
Yeah, every night. 5-course tasting.
And my understanding is that your menu now upstairs and downstairs is the same.
Yes. So that was a recent thing that Tyler and AJ did. I think it was in January, although we have been in hustle brain fog since January, so I don't know. I think it was January. And they basically took a couple of the Millwright staples, which were the chicken wings, the burger, and then we added like a pasta. So for a while we were doing like a short rib ragu with, and now we're doing orecchiette with some pork belly and basically doing like a carbonara style dish.
A carbonara. And here's the question: do you use guanciale for the carbonara?
We actually have a pork belly dish on entree on the menu, so we use the scrap from that for it. We don't really like to be wasteful.
That'll work.
We use that.
Although the real Italians,
but
they get. Like,
don't tell Billy that I'm not using guanciale.
Oh, you have to use guanciale. Can't use pancetta. You can't use bacon.
No,
you have to use guanciale. You have to segregate. I learned all this from this Italian chef that I follow. The guanciale. So you're doing that, and you said for Mother's Day, I think you told me for over 400 covers.
480.
Fuck.
Yeah.
That's a lot for people that are listening that in there. That is a ridiculous amount of food.
That's a lot of food,
especially for your place. I mean, it's not like Viron's place, who's got like 800 seats. This is
it's not built for 480 people.
Yeah, that's an incredible, and it's a price fixed menu, right? So it's a limited menu, so you at least have that
3-course. Thankfully, 3-course.
You couldn't do this with your regular menu; you'd die if you had to. You could you do 480 on your regular menu?
Yeah, because we could do it. Yeah, because we're doing it all day. We can do a lot.
No, but isn't it easier when you have the limited menu?
It's easier for sure. Yeah.
Right, because right. So
actually, if Tyler's listening, no, we can't do it with the regular menu. We can only do it with a prefix. It'd be so impossible.
So you're So, and how many are you working the pass? What are you doing?
Yeah, I work the pass.
You
I
work
do
the
a lot of
pass?
talking.
A lot of talking.
Yeah.
Right. And then you're there, and then you have how many line chefs there?
I have 3. So I have a fish station, a meat station, and we call it our tavern station, but it's essentially a saute station. They pick up like pastas and
Hmm.
stuff and a lot of hot apps. And then we have a garmage station where I have 2 cooks on there. So in total right now, we only have 5 cooks. We had 6.
Oh, until that
And then,
incident. And then Kristen and her assistant.
correct, yeah. She has
Wow.
1 assistant.
And then you have people coming in running the food out.
Yeah, so I had, for Mother's Day, we actually had 3 food runners. It's the first time we've done 3 food runners on a holiday,
You
and
did,
thank
though.
God we did. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
That's impressive. And so what do you so the in terms of the you've worked at a variety of different places, from the casual to
Hmm.
like I call like the like a little donkey, like I call it casual fine dining, because
I
it
would
is
agree with that.
right.
Yeah,
It's sort of
yeah,
like
absolutely.
it's
It's
super
very
technical,
high end. Yeah,
high end ingredients, expensive price point, a sophisticated consumer there.
yep,
People that are foodies are going to that place.
yep,
People
yep.
that know good food. So you really, and those people are the ones that don't they don't suffer fools. They don't. You can't. There's not a lot of room for
It's a
error
chef
with
restaurant.
them. A
You
chef
see
restaurant.
a lot of chefs
Right.
that go there. And actually, Jamie Bissonette, he's no longer involved with
That's
that
right. I
restaurant
saw
group.
that.
He's opened his own.
Oh, a Korean place.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
looks great.
I can't wait to go.
Who just went there? Dave Shapiro. You know
Yeah,
Dave?
yeah.
He just went.
He did.
He
Oh,
sent me.
good.
He texted me pictures from there. So when you're doing that, but even where you're at now, like Millwright's is fine dining, and it's it's a higher price point, and I mean
Yep.
that in a good way. I mean, it's just what it is. It's
Yep.
it's higher cost of materials, and you have to deliver like a really good product,
Yep.
because the people are spending the average check price is probably $60 or something.
Yeah.
So people are spending money, and they want to have the food delivered that's going to really they're going to walk away and say, wow, this was really, really good. Does that pressure get to you ever?
Honestly, not really. I think the easiest part of my job is cooking. The hard part is, managing the staff, and hitting the numbers. Being at or below, slightly below a 30% food cost. Being at my labor.
Yeah, but forget all that. I'm talking about, but even if you keep all those costs in line, if your shit isn't tight, isn't delicious, isn't wowing people,
Mhm.
you're going to go out of business.
Yeah, I mean, I just surround myself with good, talented
Right.
people. All my purveyors are talented, and I just heat up their food and serve it. And
wow, but I think you're giving that short shrift. It's not just you're not just
there's
heating it
slightly
up.
more
Like
to it.
I mean, a monkey can heat it up. Like I can, if that were the case, then I can put out the food that you put out. And I can't.
I just don't really and I'm not saying, I'm just saying this. I do not feel that much pressure in terms of that aspect of it. I
But
think
how do you? But if,
cooking is the easiest thing that I do.
But what? Why is it easy for you though? Why is that?
Oh, I have no idea why. I don't really know. I just
because you know that. I mean, you have to know in your heart that like there's that you're operating at like a very high level, right?
Mhm.
You're putting out like you're in the major leagues, like, and there's minor leagues and major leagues for a reason. Like you're putting out some of the best food around, like,
right.
and you're just like, I just kind of put it out, but like. There's got to be something. I'm trying to see.
I
Like,
don't know. I guess
what
just
motivates you to like.
For me in the kitchen, I feel like there's no problem I can't solve. Maybe I have to get there at 5 a.m. to solve it, like I did the past 2 days. Maybe you put in a couple but it's all solvable. You know what I mean? I'm not going to die for sleeping for 3 hours.
No, right.
But, so for me, like the real pressure is, am I keeping my staff happy? Am I paying them enough? Am I able to provide them, a healthy lifestyle? Right now we're open 6 days a week. So I know that means that, only one of my cooks a week is going to get 2 days off in a row. And really for their mental stability, it's best for them to have 2 days off. We are switching to a 5-day schedule next week, back to a 5-day schedule next week so that we can provide that for them.
Oh, for the summer? Or you still be open 6 days though?
No, we'll be open 5 days.
Okay.
Starting next week again, which is just a really good thing for morale for them to have 2 days off in a week. So those are the things that I feel pressure about. Is like, am I, helping people that these people that I love, that I work with, am I providing them a healthy
And
work
do you
life?
think that then the quality of the food and the
Goes up.
goes up?
Yeah, 100%,
And
100%.
what about also staying like, cutting edge, doing interesting stuff? Like where does that come from? Or where do you draw inspiration from for that?
I think I'm maybe a little bit different than some of the chefs previously at Millwrights. Like I said, when I started to learn how to cook, I really just kind of sought out what everybody's grandmother was doing.
Mm.
So in terms of like, I'm not putting foams on stuff. I'm not really doing gelees. I love to learn, like, for example, if you were one of my cooks, I probably first day would have been like, what was your favorite thing that your grandmother made? And then, if it's something I hadn't done before, I would probably learn how to cook it.
Brisket and lima beans, by the way.
I'll do it.
That's really
I'll
good.
do
If you
it.
cook a brisket with lima beans, it's
I
something
love
delicious.
lima beans.
Beans are good,
Yeah.
but with brisket,
We
it
get
should
the
make
best
that.
lima beans from Young's Farm in Granby.
Really?
They're our East Granby. So sorry.
She's a Granby girl.
Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
they're
So you did that. What is the where do you like to eat?
Right now, we don't really eat out too much. My favorite restaurant, my favorite chef in the state is definitely Emily Mangrone.
Oh,
Tavern on State.
see, she's on our list.
Fairhaven.
Yeah, she's on our list to. She's gonna come on.
She's so.
She
I
is.
love her.
Yeah, she right. She has the oyster company.
Yeah, Fairhaven,
And then,
they have the food truck, and then they have provisions on stage.
That's
She
it.
has,
And
I
she-
should say.
Oh,
She's incredible.
And doesn't she also has the butcher place, right? With
Yeah,
the
that's
sandwiches?
Provisions on State.
Yeah, they make
Yeah.
good sandwiches there.
Yeah,
Oh
she's
man.
cool.
Yeah, we Rex and I ate there, and we like a long time ago, and I remember she had beef heart tartare.
Yeah,
It was like blew my mind how
Yeah.
good it was.
she's so talented, and she has amazing people working for her too. She has she has this kid Sam that's working for her, and his sous chef that was working with him. And sorry, I have post Mother's Day. I can't even believe I'm awake right now.
Yeah. Thank
But
you for
anyway,
coming
she just has incredible people that are working for her.
And the food there is good. Have you been to the Fairhaven Oyster Company?
Yeah, that's what we did last year. We went there for our anniversary.
Did you get the lobster roll?
Yeah.
Is the lobster roll?
Yeah.
I heard that's the best lobster roll in the state.
And I'm not a cold.
Is it cold? I'm a hot lobster girl.
Okay, I am too.
Okay.
But I'm telling you that, and she sent that as because I'm a hot lobster.
Yeah. Butter.
So I didn't order it. She sent
with
it
mayo,
and it was so good. And it has like the salmon roll. I'm telling you, it's incredible.
Oh, I'll try it.
It's not mayo. I think she does creme fraiche.
Okay, all right.
It's delicious. She sent it to my wife and we both like took a couple bites out of it. My wife went to the bathroom. I ate the rest of it. And she's like, "Are you freaking
kidding me?
You ate the rest of that?" I'm like, "Sorry about that." I
Oh
couldn't help it.
man.
It's so
So
good.
yeah. So that's one of your spots. What else?
Around here, like if we're gonna go somewhere, always Billy Brico. You know, why not? Zephyr Street Pizza.
Oh, Dante. Yeah,
love
he's
my
he's
Dante.
on the list. I just talked to him the other day. He makes a good pie.
Yeah. I love
Although
that guy.
I always tell him he does have now a New Haven style. I'm from New Haven area.
Yeah.
So like I'm very particular with pizza. I think his pizza's great, but his pizza's
That's
a little
everybody from New Haven.
but his pizza's a little too thick. But he has a New Haven one that he does sort of off menu, doesn't tell people about, very thin.
Yeah.
So I like a little crunchier pizza.
There you go.
But he does his sandwiches are really good. He does a
he's so
pastrami.
talented.
What else? Anything else? Like
So for Chinese food, I really love Black Bamboo. So he does a really good job over there.
Yes.
If my mom's in town, we always go to Butterfly across the street, and absolutely neither of us are supposed to eat anything from
Right.
like that's we have limited diets and we absolutely destroy ourselves over there, so it's fine.
That's a good place too. What about do you ever eat fast food?
No,
I
can't.
You can't.
I have had migraines since I was a kid,
right.
and
That's
I
what
really
you said.
not that I don't want to.
When you did eat McDonald's, what was your order?
Oh sure, they don't make the it was like the two burgers.
McDLT?
No, it's just like two single burgers. It was I think it was like number 3.
Oh yeah, they have that. The
Do
two
they?
burgers
They
with the
took
fries.
it off for a
They
while
have the two
because
cheeseburgers.
they took it off for
Number
a while
7,
because it was
I think
like
it
I
is.
don't remember.
Yeah. My
And
kids get it. My kids are like McDonald's junkies. It's terrible, but like sometimes you just shut them up and they want it. But there is something to be said. Like if I do get a McDonald's, it's a cheeseburger, extra onions and pickles.
Yeah.
I worked at McDonald's. I worked
Did
on the one on
you?
the
Yeah.
highway in Milford. One of my first
so you're a
jobs.
cook. You can come cook. For
Yeah,
me.
yeah. Well,
there you go.
Just kind of put it down, but
That's
it's something. It's look. There's obviously the burger you put out is great too. But there's something like about, I don't know if it's because it's your childhood, it's tied to it, but you eat that McDonald's like little burger. It sounds very good. I don't know. It's just
I'm not going to argue with you.
Yeah, it's very tasty.
You're going to be hard pressed to find a cook in the state that's not eating fast food a couple nights a week.
No, right,
so.
of course.
And I would be if I could.
If you could, but like, no, I like, how about if you gone down anywhere down in the southeast part of the state, like Renee's place?
Oh, of course, yeah.
I haven't been there yet. I heard it's fantastic.
Yeah, we did, for my wife's birthday this past year, we did Port of Call.
Right, that's her spot, right?
Yeah, so good.
Good, yeah.
So good. Drinks were incredible.
Shipwright's Daughter is another one.
Yep, Shipwright's Daughter we've been to. One of my cooks is over there now.
What about the place? Was it her that was there? Renee, Mystic Oyster Club? Wasn't she there?
No, Oyster Club is one of their restaurants. So I think they have Engine Room, Oyster Club, and Port of Call. So she's the chef of both Oyster Club.
Yeah, that's where I met her. That's Mystic Oyster Club. That's a heck of a restaurant.
Yeah, and they have the
thing up top, the treehouse.
The treehouse thing. We like to sit up there.
That's a good place. Yeah, I don't mind making the trip down. It's a heck of a drive, but like
it's a drive. Yeah, we don't get out enough, but when we do,
it's worth it. Yeah, sometimes at the end of the summer we rent a place down on the shoreline, and so it's usually then only 20-25 minutes. So I shoot over there.
Yeah, and that Sift Bakery right there. And now they have what's the Mix restaurant on top. My friend Olivia Moray, who I worked with at Winvian, is the chef there now. So next time we go, we're gonna go see her. And
you know who's down there too? Pam Pato's has popover.
Yes, I was just talking to her the other day. We got her some of her delivery for popovers at Millwright. So she she does. They have good products too. Yeah, I love Pam.
Wow, that's interesting that you that Emily's spot is really good. How about in terms of I know that I saw you recently, maybe a year and a half or 2 years now. You did the hot dog contest.
Yeah, with Dante.
And so my question for you is on a hot dog. Do you agree that that after 8, Obama always used to say this, after 8 years old, no ketchup on a hot dog?
I mean, I would probably put if I could eat a hot dog right now, I would honestly.
You could without the bun, right?
Yeah, but why would you do that? That's true. Good.
That's true.
It's just like a shitty sausage without the bun and all the fixings. I would probably, sometimes we'll put up, for example, hot dogs for family meal because it's like a nice quick thing, and we get like the good hot dog. We get the good like Allen Brothers hot dogs. Oh yeah, so they're good.
I'm a Hummel's guy from New Haven, but it's the same like Muckies or like Subred or What do you agree that when you have a hot dog? If say you have a chili dog, which is to me the best iteration of a hot dog, is that the mustard or whatever or the ketchup, let's say, but God forbid, but the mustard goes first. Yeah. Then the chili, then the onions. Or do you think the onions goes underneath the chili?
No, onions on top.
Onions on top, right?
Like cap. Do you go to
cap it?
No. Like Capital. Where do you get your chili?
I like Capital. Yeah, that's sort of really chili. That's sort of a meat sauce.
Yeah, it's got like I don't know what they got in there.
Celery salt or something.
Something in there is a bit. Yeah, it's definitely prevalent.
It's okay. I mean, I like it. I think the best chili dog is a place called Frankie's.
Yeah, I know Frankie's.
You know Frankie's?
Yeah.
So there was one where I grew up in the New Haven area, and then we go to the one in Plainville all the time, and they take the foot-long dog, they fry it first, then they griddle it. Yeah. And then they have
That's my favorite way to do the Hummel. 100%.
Yeah, and they use a Hummel. They use a foot-long Hummel split. You always got to butterfly a hot dog, I think, too, because then it catches the mustard more. But I get it and they also make their own like spicy relish. Yeah. So, but they have a real chili. Like I want a real chili. Yeah. Are you a beans chili person or not beans?
Like on a hot dog or just not chili? Beans? Yeah, not beans on a hot dog. Okay. But I would, if I make chili at home, I do put beans in it. I'm sorry.
No,
like a Texas chili, no beans. I have family in Texas. This is a common argument.
Yeah, they fight about the beans.
Yeah. So no beans, Texas chili. But I mean, you got to get your protein in too. You got to, beans are good for you. Throw some beans in it.
Wow. And what do you think now is? Let me ask you this as we wind down. What inspires you to? Again, going back to wrap up, the relationship that you're making with all these people that come into Millwrights are coming there because they enjoy the food, they like the ambiance, they like the whole package. And so what inspires you to continue like providing at that level, being more inventive and producing, that high quality of food all the time? What inspires you for that?
Honestly, knowledge. I really just like to continue to learn new techniques and new skills. And the best way for me has always been to learn about cuisines from different cultures, and that's allowed me to learn about a lot of different cultures. And honestly, at Millwrights, when I took over, it was really a special occasion restaurant. So you saw a lot of people, but only once or twice a year. And I really wanted to be able to provide a menu where people could come up way more often than, you don't have to get the tasting menu when you come to Millwright. So the menu is really approachable. I think it's a bit different than what was there. I mean, obviously the food at Millwright's has always been great, a la all the James Beard Awards. And I think now we provide something a little bit different. You can bring your kid in. We have a ton of plant-based food on the menu. It's like you don't even know it's there, but there's just, we have 10 or 12 plant-based items on the menu.
Wow.
That's probably a little bit of an overestimate, but I don't even know. We have a lot on the menu.
You can accommodate in all everybody's dietary issues usually too.
Yeah, we're really good about dietary issues. We are really good about accommodating allergies. Obviously the tasting menu really is what the tasting menu is, so we can't really do too much there for people other than your basic
and you work with your wife.
I do.
So what's that like?
That's great.
Yeah,
we have no issues.
But you don't
my wife's very easygoing.
Is she? Yeah. But you're not crossing a lot when you're at work together, right?
No, not really. She'll come up during service and say hi, or bully me if her table's taking too long, or if I'm annoying her or I'm being too loud.
Because that goes two different ways with people that are together, like whether they like being work. But I could see, given the hours that you work and how tough it is, it's kind of nice to have her there, because then
that's great.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
then
it is really great.
Then you leave together.
Yep.
Right, and that's
I pull her car up for her every night.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Well, listen. Well, thank you so much for coming in. This was great. Learning what makes you tick, and certainly you're exceedingly talented. Your food is. You're hardworking. Your food is delicious, and you know that when I come in, I don't blow smoke. Like if I thought that there is room for improvement, I would say. I mean, what do I know? I eat a lot of good places, but you are one of the best, and you should know that.
I appreciate that.
You should be proud of yourself. So
thank you so much. We're working on opening our own restaurant too.
You told me that. Yeah, is that going to happen?
So, we're looking at a space today. So we'll
nice.
See.
All right. Well, I will be at the Friends and Family if you'll have me.
Yeah, we'll have you.
All right. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.